to the Mind by Raghunath Das Goswami. Currently we are reading on verse number 7, commentary by Sachinandan Swami Maharaj. I'll read very small 4-line paragraph to bring up to the speed, and then we will continue. Why is the association of exalted devotees so powerful? The Lord is finding rest only in the hearts of his devotees, where he can repose and rest in peace. He cannot rest in the hearts of the karmis or yogis because they have selfish desires. But he can do so in the heart of the devotees because they want to satisfy him. That's where we left, so we will continue. Let us consider the gopis' meditation on Krishna, how they see Krishna and install him in their hearts. Early in the morning, Krishna leaves the village of Vrindavan with the cowherd boys. The gopis stay behind. They feel deep, deep longing for Krishna. In order to soothe their hearts, they assemble in one place to talk about Krishna. As they are just starting to talk about Krishna, the sound of Krishna's flute carried by his dear servant, the wind, enters into Vrindavan. As the gopis hear this sound, their inner eyes open, and through the eyes of the flute, through the Vani of Krishna, they see a scene that is beyond description, rendering them speechless. They sit there, all seeing the same scene, but they cannot talk about it. But Sukadeva Goswami describes it. Krishna is wearing a peacock feather ornament on his head and blue trumpet-shaped carnicore flowers on his ears. His hips are decorated by a yellow garment as brilliant as gold, and the Vaijayanti garland is moving on his chest. Krishna is in a mood of the greatest of the dancer as he enters the forest of Vrindavan. And he beautifies it with the mark of his footprints. He fills the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, and all the cowherd boys sing his glories. What a nice scene. Krishna is dressed as a dancer, decorated with different lotus flowers, mango sprouts, and cluster of flowers and buds. The clay of Vrindavan's earth is used to draw design on his cheeks in yellow and reddish colors. He is dressed like a dancer, ready to enter the stage. Even in ordinary life, just before entering a stage, a certain Shakti enters the performer. Similarly, Krishna is full of excitement. The moment he enters the forest with his beautiful dress and mood, Krishna starts to dance. The form that makes every living entity dance also dances. In other avatars, Krishna is not so fond of dancing, but as Krishna he is, and make others dance too. Peacock dance, swan dance, gopas dance. Even when he kills a demon at the height of a fight, Krishna dances. Even when he does something as serious as lifting Govardhan hill, he starts to dance because he is the Lord of Rash, joy. Seeing him, all the devatas also start to dance. So Krishna is Natvar. In contrast, Shiva is Nataraj who performed the dance of destruction. Krishna never destroys when he dances. He elegantly inundates the world with waves of bliss. He is the Lord of joy and the Lord of dance. When Krishna goes into the forest, he brings it to the life with his presence. Once he has entered the forest, the Brajvasis, with the exceptions of the cowherd boys and cows, turn back to go to the village. Some of them are carried back because they fainted. The moment Krishna is just with the boys, his feet start to dance in such a way that the art of dancing becomes ashamed. Then his ankle bells start to sound. Krishna wants to really move when he dances. So he takes his chadar and ties it around his waist. Then the garland dances and Krishna's eyes move beautiful than a baby deer's also dance. His eyebrows dance, his makara shaped earring dance, everything dance. Even the peacock's feather began to dance. There is not one single part of Krishna's body that is not dancing. In such a way, he makes the whole world dance. Krishna's makara earring are expert in teaching his eye how to dance. He pleases all directions with the luster of his golden cloth that sways in gentle breeze. His luster is emanating in bluish waves, and his dance is multidimensional, covering the whole forest of Vrindavan. The luster of his dhoti is like the light colored Ganga, and the luster of his body is like the dark Yamuna. Together, it appears as if there is a confluence between the Ganga and the Yamuna. When the Radharani hears about Krishna's dancing from Kundalata, she drinks the information as if her ears are cups. She closes her eyes and internally sees Krishna dancing with the Gopas. She faints from the effect of two kinds of nectar, katha and internal meditation. As Radha falls down, Krishna knows that she has fainted, and he tells the wind to awaken her. The wind then carries his fragrance to wake Srimati Radharani. So, in summary, in verse 7, we have heard about the main obstacle from which other obstacles grow. It is the desire for fame. In Buddhism, it is called self-indulgence. We are then not absorbed in Krishna, but our own glories. And we thus try to control our environment to get our glorification. It's a very subtle and sometimes difficult to even recognize. We need the association of a pure devotee. We will hear in text 8 how to find such a devotee. We have discussed the greatest devotees, the gopis, and their vision of Krishna, and we have tried to see through their eyes. Hopefully, at least for a fraction of a second, while reading the description, we could contact Krishna's beautiful form, his qualities, and his playfulness. We can do this. We read the Shastras, see through the eyes of these great devotees. After some time, we will not be interested anymore in the desire of an unfulfilled heart. So this is end of this Satchidanand Swami Maharaj commentary. Tomorrow we will be reading commentary by Bhakti Vigyan Goswami. What a wonderful book. As I was saying, how to find pure devotees. And our Acharya will be revealing. Look forward for that wonderful. So we will be now dwelling in the life of Srila Prabhupada. We are reading Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, volume number 4, I think chapter number 5. A lot of ground to be covered. I will read the Yamuna Devi has expressed that scene. And as we read also that when we hear the pastimes, we should practice. After reading many, many times, you memorize this and then slowly remember and see in action what is describing. This is what the gopi does. So we have to also practice like that, and it's so pleasing to our mind and heart. At least when at the end of the life we have nothing, we won't be able to speak or anything, we can at least dwell our mind into those wonderful pastimes. So I'll read. Yamuna Devi says, during visiting hours, riding in the car, walking, standing, or sitting, Prabhupada was chanting Japa all the time in Surat. His fingers were always moving within his saffron bead bag. He was always a Vaishnava, the pure devotee of Krishna, well groomed with beautiful, neat tilakon, and his hand was always in his bead bag. As he was sitting to greet people, one would be struck by his inconceivable beauty. Srila Prabhupada said, persons who give themselves to others are called magnanimous. And this was how Srila Prabhupada was during his pastimes in Surat. He was always delivering Krishna to everyone he met. He affected people's heart by his great potency. So now we will continue. Every morning in Srimad Bhagavatam class, Prabhupada added another installment of the Ajamil story. Sometimes he would refer to the degradation of Indian culture. So I take specific example he had seen during his India tour. Quote, now I'm very sorry to inform you that in your city I have seen two temples. They are known as Rama Mandir. But there is no Ram. This cheating is going on and you are accepting. There is no Ram deity worship, but a man's photo is there, Sri Ram. And people are so foolish. They do not question why this is going on. In Indore, I have been in the Gita Bhavan, and so many nonsense things are there. Another place I saw Gita Samiti, and there was not a single photograph of Krishna, but a lamp is there, and this is in the name of Dharma. Quote, last night, this boy informed me that Bhagavad Gita is going to be distributed by some Swami. But according to Bhagavad Gita, that Swami is full number one. He is distributing Bhagavad Gita and people are accepting and paying for it. This is going on. It is a very serious situation all over the world. in the name of dharma, religion, adharma, irreligion is going on. Unquote. Just as Ajamil had become degraded, Prabhupada explained, Indian culture had also become degraded. The only hope was for the people to return to the rightful position of Krishna consciousness. Quote. So, all over the world, not only in India, there cannot be peace unless you reform the whole social structure. And that can be done only by this moment, Krishna consciousness. Now, see how these men fell down, lusty people. They don't care for society, they don't care for elderly persons. They do it in the road, in the street, on the sea beach, anywhere in the cinema. These things are going on. It is advertised also in the cinema nowadays to attract people. Formerly in India, it was not so. But they are introducing all of this nonsense to make people more lusty. To become lusty means he's going to hell. If you want to open the door to your liberation, then you should engage yourself in serving the Mahat, pure devotees. If you want to open the door to the hellish conditions of life, then you mix with those who are too much attached to the woman. Unquote. He spoke of the slaughterhouse and continued to decry the public display of illicit sex. Regarding illicit sex, he said that what had been a rare incident in the time of Ajamil was now a common affair. Quote, how can young people protect themselves? They are not trained up. This Ajamil was trained up, and yet he fell down. I saw in many parks, such as Golden Gate Park, within the cars, the young boys and girls. Now, here it is said that this behavior is expected of the Shudra, not from the higher caste. So just try to understand. They are thinking that they are becoming advanced, but they are not becoming advanced. They are becoming degraded. The whole world is degraded, and India is also imitating that degradation. How by degraded association one become himself degraded? That this story will reveal. So Prabhupada has accomplished in Surat what he had intended. He had given the holy name and the people had embraced it. The people of Surat, though not prepared to alter their lives radically and live as ISKCON devotees, appreciated that Prabhupada had turned Vaishnavas into devotees of Lord Krishna and that he was teaching the pure message of the scriptures and chanting Hare Krishna. They had responded to Prabhupada not out of dogma or rituals, but out of an appreciation of the importance of spiritual life and a recognition that Prabhupada and ISKCON were genuine. For Prabhupada's disciple, the visit to Surat had given them a glimpse of what the world would be like if everyone was a devotee. So this pastime in Surat is ended. Allahabad, January 1971. Kumbh Mela is the greatest congregational of human being on earth. Every 12 years in Allahabad, sadhus and pilgrims from all over the India gather at the Triveni, the confluence of the three holy rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. And at an auspicious time, that assure the worshipper liberation from the cycle of birth and death. As many as 15 million people enter the sacred waters. A smaller version, the Magh Mela, takes place annually during the month of Magh, December, January. So January of 1971, however, happened to fall halfway through the 12-year cycle from one Kumbh Mela to the next. And the Mela was known as Ardha Kumbh Mela. Millions would attend, and Srila Prabhupada decided to take advantage of the opportunity attend the Mela with his disciples to preach. While his disciples took the train from Surat to Allahabad, Prabhupada, accompanied by Tamal Krishna, Hansadutta, Nand Kumar, and others, went briefly to Bombay and then to Calcutta, where he satisfied himself that his shipment of the books from Dai Nippon was safely stored at a Scindia warehouse. He also purchased 24-inch brass Radha Krishna deities to take with him to Allahabad. On January 11, he wrote as follows: Tomorrow morning, we are going to Allahabad to attend the Ardh Kumbh Mela festival. We shall be going all 40 strong devotees, and there are an expected 7 million going to be there also for the month of Magh. About 25 devotees has taken the train from Surat to Allahabad, and others, newcomers from the US and England, would soon be arriving. After a 23-hour train ride, the first group arrived. As they disembarked, they could see only fog, with the address of a brahmachari ashram where they were to stay until they could pitch their tents at the Mela site. They started forward. The devotees knew little of what to expect as they crowded into several one-horse tanga and proceeded toward the appointed brahmachari ashram. They had heard that the Kumbh Mela was the most auspicious time to bathe at the Triveni and that the water was icy cold. In the foggy morning, they saw pilgrims along the road, riders on camels, and guards carrying rifles. Reaching the ashram at sunrise, they could see the sacred Ganga before them. The next morning, the devotees started for the pilgrimage site. Wife and family. Pilgrimage site, joining the stream of pilgrims funneling toward the Triveni. As they passed the Rambagh train station, a sign read, "From this point, the confluence of the holy rivers Ganga and Yamuna and the falls are 5 kilometers." Riding in bicycle rickshaws, the devotees merged with the moving tide of pilgrims. And soon they saw before them on what 1 week before had been an empty plain, a city of tents. From the small tents, big tents, and giant pandals with flags flying rose a dissonance of sound, music, loudspeaker, announcement in different languages, bhajans, and the hum of prayers. The devotees got down from their rickshaws, paid their drivers, and proceeded ahead, moving with the flow of pilgrims. As they walked, The ground transferred from grass to sand to mud, and the amplified music and the din of mantras and chants increased. The entire way was lined by beggars with leprosy, elephantiasis, and deformities. The Mela committee had given ISKCON a good location near one of the entrance gates, and few of the experienced devotees engaged workers in setting up the tents. ISKCON's pandal was large and brightly colored, with three smaller tents close by, one for the men, one for the women, and one for Srila Prabhupada. A flimsy sack of corrugated tin served as a kitchen. Prabhupada was to arrive the next day, and the devotees worked quickly, putting down hay and rolling out daris, large carpet of coarse cotton fabric. The devotees would have to build their own fires, gather their own vegetables, wash their own clothes, and do everything for themselves, all in the middle of a cold, barren sand flat. It was a far cry for being served like princes at a life member's home. The devotees were in the midst of a great religious festival and human spectacle, and without Prabhupada, most of them were bewildered by the strange sight and sounds. Yogis sat all day in the same posture, while crowds stood watching. Trident carrying saviors with simple red cloth, Rudrak's beads, and matted hair, sat smoking ganja. A procession of elephants, followed by the two long files of naked sadhus, strode by. An ascetic lay on a bed of thorns, and there were still others, extreme renunciates, rarely seen by the rest of civilization. And of course, the various Hindu sects abounded, their chants and prayers rising into the air to mingle with the morning mist and the smoke from the 10,000 campfires that clouded the sky above the city of tents. When Prabhupada arrived at the ISKCON camp the next day, the devotees were ecstatic. Eagerly they began to tell him of the bizarre sight of the Mela. One of them mentioned a guru riding on an elephant and added, "Actually, you should ride on the elephant," unquote. "No," Prabhupada replied, "I would put Radha and Krishna there." Haribol.
mm,
Prabhupada's presence reassured his disciples, reminding them that spiritual life
mm,
was neither exotic nor bewildering, but simple and practical.
mm,
In Prabhupada's presence, the devotees' attractions to mystic yoga, Vedic rituals, and material blessings and benedictions vanished. They accepted that great spiritual benefit awaited the pilgrim at the Mela. But as Prabhupada had said, to go to a holy place means
mm,
to find a holy person and hear from him.
mm,
A place is holy because of the presence of the saintly person. Unquote. The devotees understood,
mm.
therefore, that the greatest spiritual benefit lay in hearing from Srila Prabhupada. It's a very nice instruction when we visit these different pilgrimage places. Hare Krishna. Sitting in his tent with his disciple, Prabhupada explained the significance of Earth Kund Mela. For millions of years, he said, this has been among the most sacred place in India. During the appearance of the tortoise avatar, when the demons and demigod had been churning immortal nectar, a drop of that nectar had fallen here. Since then, every 6 and 12 years, certain auspicious planets form a jug, and this jug filled with immortal nectar. It is said to pour that nectar upon the Triveni. Excuse me. Lord Ramchandra and Hanuman appear here in Allahabad, and here Lord Chaitanya taught Rupa Goswami the science of devotional service. Prabhupada said he had also lived in Allahabad with his wife and family, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati had initiated him at Allahabad's Rupa Goswami Gaudiya Math in 1932. As for the Melas, anyone who came and bathed at the auspicious times when the prana was pouring down from the heavens was guaranteed either promotion to the heavenly planets or liberation. So John Grieser is explaining this in his own word as follows. I talked with other so-called gurus, and they were very impersonal. They didn't seem to care so much for persons, especially Vaishnavas. They had a dislike, sort of a disdain, even though occasionally some of them would have a Western disciple. Prabhupada was completely different. He didn't seem so much concerned about external, but was very concerned about a person's philosophy, his consciousness. And of course, he always tried to inject Krishna consciousness into everyone he met. 652. Okay. I think let's read a couple of paragraphs. Prabhupada said that although most of the saints and sadhus present were inauthentic, many were perfect yogis, some of them 300 and 400 years old. These yogis from remote parts of India would come out for the Mela and then return to seclusion. I have personally seen, he said, that they take bath in Gangas and come up in the 7 sacred rivers. They go down in the Ganga and come up in the Godavari river. Then they go down and come up in the Krishna river and go down like that. The devotees, therefore, should respect everyone who attended the Mela. Nice instructions. So actually it's true. One of the devotees inquired that just by bathing here, they are liberated? Yes, Prabhupada said, it's true. They come here for liberation. But we have not come for liberation. We have come to preach, being engaged in Krishna's unalloyed devotional service. We are already liberated. We are not interested in liberation. We have come to preach devotional service. That's the first, not the first, but the obstacle that mentioned from verse number 4 that say the same thing. We are not interested in any type of liberation. That's an obstacle. So I think we should stop here. It's 6:54. Devotee has other things to do. So we should stop here and offer our humble obeisances at the dusk of this wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis by uttering Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa